Welcome to the online presentation of Edward Steichen International School. Just to confirm, our school registration is open and you will be able to find all the relevant information and relevant forms on the school website as usual. So, in the next school year, in September 2020, we will be opening an international school with a nursery and a primary school section with a French and an English section. I will be presenting this innovative project to you, integrating an international school on a national Luxembourg school campus and starting an accredited European primary school led by Lycée Edward Steichen on the school campus at Reuler on the outskirts of Clairvaux. During this presentation, I will also refer to the special characteristics, the particularities, and the demands of the European school system in this presentation. Finally, at the end of this presentation, I will also refer briefly to our international secondary school, where we will be offering 3 language sections from September, with an English section alongside the already existing French and German sections. So, what are our missions? The European schools have as a mission to educate and teach together students of diverse origins and backgrounds, and to offer a truly European, multilingual and pluricultural education for students coming both from the national Luxembourg school system and other school systems. When implementing our program, we pay particular attention to developing a European dimension, promoting mutual respect between different cultures and openness with the outside world. Our school offer, which includes nursery, primary and secondary school, is not only adapted to the needs of immigrant students or temporary residents of Luxembourg, but also to the needs of the young people in our region who do not necessarily have prior experience of multilingualism, but who wish to experience truly linguistically and culturally diverse teaching and learning. We aim to offer a complete, well-rounded educational path from the start of primary school to the European Baccalaureate, whilst promoting equally the personal, social and intellectual development of our students. Therefore, we have chosen a highly differentiated approach which allows us to adapt to our students so that we can develop their talents and abilities as well as possible. Creating an international school based on the European schools model is part of the current ambition of the Luxembourg Ministry of Education. i.e., the Ministry of Education is trying to promote different schools for different students within the state-funded school system, which is accessible to all students, whilst also ensuring access to a high-quality end-of-school diploma which is internationally recognized. As you will notice in your daily life in Luxembourg, Luxembourgish is not anymore the dominant language in the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. With the European School Edward Steichen in Clairvaux, each student is given the chance to achieve at a high level, independent of the language spoken at home. Edward Steichen International School is the first international school outside Luxembourg City and the south and the southeast of the country. And until 2016, the European school offer was mainly limited to the children of EU public servants who could attend the European Type 1 schools at Kirchberg or Marmont. Due to the success of the European International School offered in Esch-Differdange in 2016, 3 other accredited European schools have been opened since September 2018, namely in Junglinster, Mundorf-les-Bains and here in Clairvaux. Here at Lesque in Clairvaux, we offer since September 2018 the European Secondary School and are following this now with the opening of the nursery and the primary school. We offer teaching based on the program and curriculum of the European school, and at the end of their schooling, our students gain the European Baccalaureate diploma, which is recognized in Europe and often beyond and gives access to higher education and further professional training. The quality of teaching is regularly evaluated via external audits and inspections. The European school system is a school system which is well tested and which is very successful with an increasingly high number of students. This is also reflected in the ongoing trend of new European schools or accredited European schools being set up across Europe. Currently, there are 13 European Type 1 schools in 6 member states, and there are about 20 accredited European schools in 13 member states of the European Union. Having an accredited European school at Lesques in Clairvaux allows us to cooperate closely with other European schools and with other international schools as well. This cooperation also enables us to recruit teachers from across the whole of Europe. It allows these teachers to exchange examples of good practice and to offer our students innovative and interesting teaching. Our students can take part in project work, exchanges, trips and residentials in schools abroad. Students can also develop themselves, and they also develop with their peers in a range of ways, for example by developing their linguistic skills, but also a range of other skills. The European Schools program is made up of 3 cycles. First of all, there's the nursery cycle, which lasts 2 years, and the students are generally aged 4 to 5 years old. Secondly, there is the primary cycle, which lasts 5 years, and the students are generally 6 to 10 years old. And finally, there is the secondary cycle, which lasts 7 years, and the students attend this cycle from the age of 11 to 18. Official programs of the European schools can be found on the European Schools website. The whole program is based around 8 core competencies. These competencies include communication in the mother tongue or in the dominant language and in other languages, the development of mathematical competencies as well as in science and technology, the development of numerical skills, learning to learn, developing social and civic responsibilities, developing initiative and enterprise, and also becoming sensitive towards other cultures and other ways to express oneself culturally. Our big advantage is that we can offer these 3 cycles within the same school. Therefore, we are able to give a coherent school offer ranging from M1 in nursery school to S7, meaning the end of secondary school, which allows us to closely monitor and support the transition of students and to guide our students with all these activities being built into our teaching and learning processes. The specific aspect of the European school is to offer teaching in language sections. Students register in their mother tongue or in the dominant language section. For us, at nursery and primary school, we are able to offer French and English as sections, and in the secondary school, from September 2020, we will be offering French, German and English L1 sections. Teaching programs are identical in the different language sections. In P1, students are experiencing their first foreign language, and some subjects are taught in mixed language groups, for example, the European Hour. In S1, meaning at the start of secondary schools, students start learning their second foreign language, which is different from their mother tongue, meaning L1, and from their first foreign language, L2. From S4 onwards, meaning at the upper end of secondary school, students are also able to learn a 4th and a 5th language if they wish to do so. The levels mentioned in this slide refer to the Common European Reference Framework for Languages, and they represent the minimal levels that have to be reached by the students for each learning cycle. We can also accommodate students who come to us without an official mother tongue in line with their dominant language choice. When accommodating these students, we will include a leveling up program, which means that students coming from the national system get additional support if they want to join the European school, and equally if students come from the outside, they will equally get appropriate support for their dominant language. In other educational multilingual systems, early language learning tends to be done to the detriment of the dominant language. In our European school system, the dominant language stays with the student permanently throughout his or her schooling, whilst the subjects taught in another language increase gradually throughout their school career. Learning in the nursery school in the early years aims to help and guide children in their physical, social, cognitive and emotional development, and it also aims to prevent any difficulties by offering them the best possible learning conditions at the start of their school career. The early education program consists of 4 key areas: me and my body, me as a person, me and others, and me and the world around me. Each key area addresses 3 child-centered aspects: learning how to be oneself, learning how to live and be with others, and learning knowledge and learning to learn. Task-based learning, experimentation, and experience are essential parts of learning. All of these promote holistic learning and can take place in a variety of learning situations where the learner is active and always actively involved in their own learning. Primary schooling in the European school system is 5 years long. At the core of this is mother tongue learning plus maths and the first foreign language, without neglecting the arts, music, PE, and discovering the world around us, especially in the European hours. Specific aspects of the European school include discovery of the world, with the main aim to develop in the children an understanding of themselves and the world around them. 5 key areas within this include science, technology, history and geography, and sociology, and cultural development in general. In the European hours, which have the aim to develop European competences so that children can learn to think, to feel, and to act as Europeans. And these European hours also aim to develop their communicative competences, their social and civic competences, and an increased awareness of different ways to express oneself as a child. In P1, children are then introduced to portfolio work. As part of our primary pedagogical concept, there are specific aspects like language learning and the pedagogical concept, which are very important. At our European school, we aim to develop the personal development within a larger or a wider socio-cultural context. We also aim to develop in our students 21st century competencies and skills. Being a student at the European school means that they are learning to know, they are also learning to do, learning to live together, learning to be oneself, and learning together. Therefore, we promote, in particular, creativity, being and acting together and in an entrepreneurial manner, being innovative and critical whilst developing their character as learners, so that they consider themselves as citizens of the world. We also aim to integrate new technologies in useful and necessary ways by choosing innovative pedagogical approaches. Of course, we also promote European values. These are facilitated by having coexisting language sections which promote mutual respect, good communication and collaboration. We also aim to support and strengthen student well-being. We want students to be open towards the world via links, exchanges, and meetings with other schools, discovering classes and discovering also how students are being taught in the neighboring countries of Luxembourg. Finally, communication with families is key to our success, and classrooms that are open for parents to visit and to have a look inside. At the European School in Reuler, we will use both traditional teaching methods and approaches, such as books, exercise books, painting, drawing, as well as game-based approaches. All of this will be further supported with the best learning technologies available and appropriate at this age range, which will allow all of our students to achieve at the best possible level for them. The tablet will be used for 4 main purposes. Each teacher uses a tablet which allows him or her to prepare their lessons, to share support materials with their students, and to really develop their creative teaching and pedagogies which are creative and interesting and relevant for the students. Each student with a particular need can use a tablet as guided by the teacher. For example, the tablet could be used as a tool to help with learning, with overcoming learning difficulties, but also as a tool to deepen students' learning. Each class or each group within a class can also use a tablet supported by the teacher to complete a specific task at any given moment in the lesson or during the day. And finally, each parent can follow their child's work and progress via the electronic portfolio of their child. They can also look at their paper-based work, of course, and their digital work. Parents can also support this further via home learning and via sharing the child's personal achievements outside of school. For example, sharing with us when a child is being able to ride a bike, or being particularly good at a particular hobby or sport. The European secondary school cycle covers 7 years and is divided into 3 learning cycles. The first learning cycle starts with S1 and goes on to S3 and is called the observation cycle. The second learning cycle goes from S4 to S5 and is called the pre-orientation cycle. And finally, the third learning cycle lasts from S6 to S7, meaning the 2 final years of secondary school, and leads to the European Baccalaureate. During the observation cycle, most of the subjects are taught in the mother tongue. The subjects that are taught you can see on the table as divided, as shown on this slide. In S4 and S5 classes, science lessons are split into 3 separate subjects: physics, chemistry, and biology. And students are given the choice between normal or advanced math lessons. Other options at this level include economics, starting to learn a 3rd foreign language, or ancient Greek. S6 and S7 classes are considered as a whole and lead to the European Baccalaureate. Whilst there are a range of obligatory subjects such as the mother tongue, L2, mathematics, 1 science, philosophy, PE, history and geography, students also have a choice from a range of options at 2 lessons, 4 lessons, or at an advanced level. The certificate or diploma reached at the end of S7 is the European Baccalaureate. The European Baccalaureate is equivalent to any end of secondary school diploma issued by any EU member state. It is also equivalent to the Luxembourg diploma, and it is also more and more well known and gives access to higher education in all European Union countries and many other countries. Students choose their discipline, their options and additional subject, but they always, as indicated before, must follow a combination of languages, humanities and sciences taught in more than one language. The common part includes obligatory subjects, of which some can be studied at different levels. Students will therefore be given a good basic education, but can also choose more specific subjects based on their future plans and interests. Programs are harmonized between different language sections and they are regularly updated. Books and resources are chosen by the teachers accordingly. Programs are based on competences. Subject knowledge and learning to learn are presented in a discovery method so that students can be prepared as well as possible for their future life as professionals and as individuals. Programs are based on two main didactic principles. Firstly, teaching and learning is fully integrated. This means that teachers aim to establish links between the different domains covered in the curriculum so that learners can learn in an integrated and meaningful way. Secondly, learning is always active. Learners become increasingly responsible for their own learning. These principles are translated into a series of teaching methods and strategies. We also use differentiated and varied teaching methods and the use of a range of ways to support students of all levels. For each learning cycle, level descriptors allow us to describe in detail the level of competences that students need to achieve. Thereby, teachers can evaluate and assess how they choose for learners to progress, and how they choose to progress, how teachers choose to progress in their teaching, in order to allow students to make the best possible progress in their studies and in their learning in general. In all of this, providing students with feedback is absolutely crucial as a means to guide the students in their learning and to help them fill any gaps in their learning. Evaluation and assessment is a key part of the European Schools program. It is also a key part of teaching and of learning, and it takes into account the starting points that are individual for each student. It is important for us to identify clearly in which areas students get good results and where they can improve their work and their development further. Evaluation informs students about their progress so that we can help them to do well at school and to develop personally in line with the aims of this education. Our evaluation and assessment objectives are as follows. We want to inform our students about their strengths, but also about their areas for development, their weaknesses. We also inform our students about their development and their ability to achieve the predefined learning objectives. And we finally aim to encourage students to improve the quality of their learning further. This also means, of course, that we include students as active participants in their learning, and we allow them to develop a range of learning strategies that work for them. And we also want to motivate students to develop their learning and guide them in their further education and training choices. We do all of this via formative and summative assessments, and we use an analytical and holistic approach for this. We also develop evaluation plans in order to accompany students in their learning. At primary school, how far students have completed their objectives is covered in their school diary, and students also use, of course, self-evaluation and their portfolio. We aim to cater for each student's particular and specific needs because each student has particular and specific needs. In order to address these needs, our teachers use diverse and differentiated teaching methods. At key moments in their schooling, students may need additional support. Therefore, we have put in place various student support mechanisms. Different levels of support can be offered, and these aim to ensure help at the appropriate level so that all of our students can develop and make progress in line with their potential and become fully integrated at school and later on in society. At LESC, we aim to develop 21st century competences. Therefore, students at the European School at LESC can benefit fully from the projects and initiatives that we offer as a 21st century school. We widen the concept of ICT to include within ICT the use of media, images combined with ICT. At secondary level, our classes use the one-to-one principle, which means that each student gets their own tablet, which he or she uses at school and at home for their schoolwork. An up-to-date curriculum supports our young learners, and it allows them to use technology as a valuable additional learning tool, combined, of course, with more traditional approaches that include textbooks and other traditional resources. The school day at LESC offers a long and all-day school. At secondary level, we offer, in addition to the normal school hours between 8:30 and 2:45, individualized coaching. Each student is supported by one coach. During weekly one-to-one tutorials, the coach supports the student in their learning and development. Each semester, each student also joins an after-school activity, an entreprise of 90 minutes per week in one of the following areas: arts and culture, manual arts, communication and media, sciences, sports, technology and innovation, and finally living together. These are all aimed to allow students to discover various domains, understand the interdisciplinary character of nature of learning, learn through projects and enterprise projects. Additionally, students have a so-called OSCAR activity per week, which provides a PSHE curriculum focusing on diverse areas such as learning to learn, iPad uses, drug awareness, cyber awareness, bullying prevention, student voice development, and related extracurricular areas. And finally, we offer a range of extracurricular activities, which include support lessons, cultural excursions and activities, additional sports and science activities, and or other optional extra learning activities. As you can see on this slide, the European School, and we as a European School, offers a range of pathways between the national and international or the European system, both at primary and at secondary level. These pathways are fundamental at primary school level, and they are managed within our current and future school offer. These pathways also allow us to integrate our national school offer with our European school offer in one institution. And it provides students with the appropriate educational pathway, which is best for each individual student, so that they can all achieve at the best possible level in their later professional life and in their school life here at LESC. We offer an up-to-date infrastructure at our European and International School here at LESC in Clairvaux, with 3 language sections in English, French and German. Nursery and primary school are provided at the Reuler school campus on the outskirts of Clairvaux. We have functional and modern buildings with very nice classrooms, a range of subject-specific rooms, labs, a library, a teaching kitchen, rooms that allow to deal with differentiation, open spaces, admin parts, preparation rooms for teachers, and rooms shared at the primary school with a Maison relais. We believe that a child can only develop successfully if we use the right pedagogy, provide the right learning spaces and right learning tools that form a coherent whole to make your child as successful as possible. Therefore, we have created learning spaces where learners and teachers like to be and where a supportive and trusting atmosphere is created and maintained. Our modern infrastructure allows us to create a learning environment which helps learning in a range of constructive ways. Our timetable at the primary school has been developed in line with the Reuler school campus timetable, which means we are offering 3 long days and 2 short days for our students. At the opening of the primary school campus, school transport will be in place in order to get students to Clairvaux and to Reuler as needed. In order to register your interest and your son or daughter at our school, you can download relevant documentation and registration forms via the school website. The school website is constantly being updated. You can, of course, also contact us by email or phone should you wish to receive more detailed information. And finally, registration is done via the Lycée Edward Steichen here in Clairvaux by returning the registration forms as fully completed as possible. Because we are a school with extended opening hours, we cooperate with the Maison relais, especially at primary school and nursery school level, to provide full day care for all nursery and primary school children as needed. The Maison relais offers us an interesting approach where children are free to choose their activities and where they can also circulate between different activities and different rooms accordingly. Registration at the Maison relais is done after being fully registered as a student at the European International School here at Lesque. Part of the European International School infrastructure is also integrated into the Maison relais. At the information evening on the 29th of April at the Maison relais, you can find out more about this. As you can see on this final slide, you can contact us either via the school website or via school email or via the school numbers that you will, the school phone numbers which you will also find on the school website. Finally, I will leave you with a quote by Marcel de Comby, the director of one of the first European schools here in Luxembourg. He said about his students at the time, "Students who are together and who are freed from a young age of prejudices that divide, and students who are introduced to the beauty and the values of diverse cultures, these students become more aware of themselves whilst growing in their solidarity and understanding of each other. Whilst keeping the love and pride for their own country, they become Europeans, and they will be well prepared to continue and to develop the work started by their ancestors towards a united and prosperous Europe." Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have found this presentation interesting and relevant. Goodbye.